Number 1. Dodo. This is the famous bird that couldn't fly and was pretty dumb.
There goes our last female.
But how much of this was true? In fact, its extinction was largely due to the man. With 28 pounds in weight and 3.2 feet in size, this bird couldn't fly and had no natural predators on the small island of Mauritius. Until the human came. In just 100 years, overhunting led to the demise of this unique bird species. Due to the size comparison between its brain and head, scientists at the American Museum of Natural History in New York concluded that it was as smart as a modern pigeon, its closest relative. So perhaps its reputation of being the dumbest was somewhat distorted. Bear in mind that a pigeon can count to 9, categorize objects just like a child would, and remember people's faces. Not bad, isn't it? After all, the writer of Alice in Wonderland wasn't too far from reality with his super smart Dodo. Number 2. Quagga. Would you like to see the result of a cross between a zebra and a horse? Well, it exists, or rather, it did. This particular Equus quagga subspecies hasn't been seen for over 100 years. But what made it so unique? Well, it had stripes from the forehead that faded to a brown color down the back, which, along with its white legs, made it a pretty rare animal. Its demise was caused by the man, or specifically the Dutch settlers of South Africa. There are a few photos of an alive quagga, but date back to 1870. The last quagga died at the Amsterdam Royal Zoo in 1883. A long time ago, you might say, but it could have been saved from extinction. However, there was no such concern for saving animals in the Victorian era. Number 3. Thylacine. This one looks more like a cross between a fox and a tiger and a dog at the same time, but what is it? You may find it quite weird, however, this buddy was a marsupial. In other words, it was like a dog or a wolf with a kangaroo pouch. Pretty odd, don't you think? There are very few photos and videos. As well as specimens in alcohol, skeletons, and stuffed ones, this animal disappeared less than 100 years ago due to hunting. The last one died at the Hobart Zoo in Australia. Its genome was unique because of its genetic isolation, although it was somewhat similar to the Tasmanian devil. If the thylacine had survived, it could have gone through the same problems its devil cousins currently have, like their diseases. Number 4. Western black rhinoceros. You may have been born before this rhino disappeared, as it was officially declared extinct by the International Union for Conservation of Nature in 2011. The western black rhino was up to 12.5 feet long, had a height of 5.5 feet, and a colossal weight of up to 2,866 pounds. What stood out the most were its 2 horns, the first one up to 4.2 inches, and the second one between 0.7 to 21 inches. This is another species that has vanished from the earth due to poaching. Rhino horns cost around $30,000 on the black market, and its main consumer is the Chinese market since it's used in traditional medicine. Western black rhino horns were like gold to hunters, so it was very difficult for keepers to protect them. The key factor of this extinction was the lack of protection measures by the countries it inhabited. Even its cousins that still survive are endangered. Number 5. Golden toad. This little pal is no longer part of the animal kingdom, and to be honest, it was pretty cute and slimy. The golden toad was a unique amphibian, not only for its bright yellowish color, but also because this species was vulnerable to climate changes. All of this happened because the usual rain on its habitat came later and heavier during its last years of life. This later affected the puddles in which they'd grow in, along with a fungus threatening the amphibian populations of the world. Moreover, it had a small habitat of barely 2,471 acres in the Monteverde Cloud Forest Reserve in Costa Rica. This toad was only 2 inches long. Its population was 1,500 in 1987 and dramatically dropped to 10 in 1988 and was no longer seen in 1989. In 2004, the golden toad was finally declared extinct. The loss of this stunning toad from Costa Rica and the world is rather sad. Number 6. Imperial woodpecker. The Imperial woodpecker is a picaform bird, which is unknown whether it's extinct or not, although it most likely is. It was the largest woodpecker in the world, as it reached up to 19.6 inches long, weighed less than 15.8 ounces, and some only weighed about 3.5 ounces. Its height ranged from 20 to 22 inches. The Imperial woodpecker was endemic to the cold areas in Mexico and the southern United States, and fed on beetle larvae or whatever it could find in logs. It was such a rare animal that there is no picture of a living specimen nor a recording to know what its song was like. Its extinction was due to its habitat destruction, as well as its hunting either for fun, food, or traditional medicine. Number 7. Pyrenean ibex. The demise of this species is one of the most documented ones. The Pyrenean ibex became extinct in 2000 and resembled a common mountain goat, although its habitat in the Spanish Pyrenees was rather small. It had long horns and fur thicker than its mountain cousins during winter. The Pyrenean ibex weighed 145 pounds and had an unusual look with huge beautiful horns, which is why it was hunted by many Europeans from France and Great Britain. It was such an intense hunt that the French population of Pyrenean ibex was brought to extinction in 1900, and only 50 were left in Spain by 1972. Their number was so small that they couldn't compete with the local wild and domestic fauna to survive. By 1999, there was only one male and female, and with the arrival of the new millennium, the Pyrenean ibex was gone forever. Number 8. Pinta Island tortoise. Slow, colossal, unique, and lonely. This case is quite famous for the last specimen that lived in the Galapagos archipelago in Ecuador. Lonesome George was the only member of this giant tortoise species, and his keepers did everything they could to breed him. However, Lonesome George died in 2012 without leaving any offspring. Despite several mating attempts, none of the eggs were fertile. Native to Pinta Island, George was rescued in 1972 by goat hunters, since goats are an invasive and man-introduced species that has completely wiped off the natural habitat of the giant tortoise. George's story taught everyone a great lesson about what humans can do. Number 9. Caribbean monk seal. When you think of seals, you generally imagine those characteristic mammals that live in frozen areas, don't you? Well, this one was different. Imagine swimming in the Caribbean and finding seals right there. Weird, right? Yes, but it wasn't out of the ordinary less than 100 years ago in the Caribbean. After being discovered by Christopher Columbus himself, its skin, blubber, and meat became valuable. European settlers started hunting for it for said reasons, and it was later believed that this species was a threat to the conservation of shoals, so a campaign to exterminate the Caribbean monk seal began. This friendly animal was so docile that it showed no resistance to its hunting. Poor and lovely creatures. They were last seen less than 100 years ago in Colombia, and there's no information about them since then. Do you like penguins? Me too! Now, get ready to meet this huge extinct animal. Number 10. Great auk. This northern penguin was swimming and walking along humans not too long ago. The great auk was 33 inches tall and weighed up to 11 pounds. Its plumage was black on the wings, back, and head, with 2 white spots standing out. Because of this, it was called penguin, which comes from the Gaelic word white head. It was heavily hunted for its feathers, and especially its enormous eggs, which were 5 inches long and weighed 0.8 pounds. Moreover, its meat was valuable since prehistory. Unfortunately, they were pretty trusting birds, which made its hunting extremely easy for any enthusiast. It no longer existed in Europe in the 16th century, only on northern coasts of North America. Despite the terrible flavor described by naturalists, sailors often hunted them, and their eggs were their delicacy. In the end, collectors wiped out this huge northern penguin, and it became extinct in 1852. Did you know about these animals? Well, now you've learned that you must take care of this beautiful world. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to see more about the animal kingdom. If you want to know more about animals, watch these videos. See you on the next adventure!